Hey everybody, it's Elliot and Ron back for another edition of Ask Ron. Got a whole bunch of questions this week, so we're going to jump right in. First up this week is Deborah Kinnard from North Carolina.
Hey Deborah.
Deborah's got a deal for you, Ron. So here's the information she knows. It's a for sale by owner. The ARV is $115,000. They're asking $105,000. She says the seller has moved out and their younger brother is currently living in the home, but he will move out if it sells. The first mortgage was for $90,000, and the seller wants to get out of debt and is open to options. She just doesn't know what to offer the seller. What do you think?
All right, well Deborah, you can't get the seller out of debt because the only way you can buy the house is to take over his debt, and I wouldn't pay him any more than the amount of the debt. So your offer to him is, I'll take over your debt, I'll make payments when you and I agree, I'll make sure all the maintenance is taken care of on the property, and sometime in the future we'll get it cashed out. But the loan will have to stay in your name until that happens. Will that keep you awake at night? And Deborah, if that'll keep him awake at night, you don't have a deal. Your only other choice is to lease option it, which you can propose if he doesn't want to just sell it to you and let you take over the loan, which is called buying it subject to, by the way. So if you want to lease option it and you like the payment, you like the condition, then you can go that route as well. Either way, you cannot get the debt out of his name. So get that out in your head immediately. If he wants the loan paid off, you're done. Out of here, over, finito.
Next up is Marcia Urin from Texas.
Hey Marcia.
Marcia says, I have a prospect that wants to sell his house in Florida and move to Texas, but they are being pursued legally with a lawsuit by MGIC for a past foreclosure. There isn't a judgment against them, just nasty letters. The prospect thinks they can't sell their present home without sale proceeds going directly to MGIC. Could they do a lease option on the house in Florida?
Well, boy, that's a loaded question. Well, first of all, if there's no judgment against them, there's nothing MGIC can do anyway to hamper their lifestyle. They can sell the house right now and get the proceeds, and there's nothing to do about it. If they put a house in Florida on the market on a lease purchase, of course they can do that. There's nothing stopping them from doing it. And then, but of course, if MGIC gets a judgment against them, it's going to attach to their house unless you can advise them to put it in a land trust first, which they should do. If they put it in a land trust, the judgment against them will not attach to their house, and they're free to do whatever they want to do with their house. Of course, neither one of these things has anything to do with them moving. So they still got all the options they would have, whether they're in a lawsuit or not. Remember, a lawsuit is a suit. They have to win first. And even when they win, I don't know how long it's going to take. It could be months, possibly even years. So they can do it. Nothing that they're doing in that lawsuit prevents them from selling that house.
Next up this week is Marianne Nunez from California.
Oh, good old Mary.
She's got two questions for you this week. The first one says, I've been receiving calls from tenant buyers for a rent-to-own property that I have. I've read the scripts you gave me, but most of them still don't answer what they'll put down, or they say they want to see the house before they respond. What else can I say to get the answers I need, Ron?
Oh, come on, Marianne. I would say something like, listen, tell me how much you got to put down so I can tell you what house to go look at. And honestly, if you don't have a down payment, there's no reason for you to go look because the down payment is going to be required. How much do you have to put down? Period. Don't fall for that crap. Don't let them work you like that because that's all they're doing. I'll tell you what you're going to learn though. If they won't tell you how much they have to put down, they have very little to put down because people who have the money are proud of it and will immediately tell you. So you probably don't have anything to fix except getting a little bit more stern on the phone, Marianne. How much do you have to put down? Until I get that information, there's no reason for you to go look.
Her next question says, I own a property that I want to do a lease option with. I don't have an entity yet, so I will have to sign a real property possession and lease agreement
Marianne,
with my name.
stop. Pick up the telephone and call a company like Business Filings or Company Corporation or any of the other 500 that'll do it. Have your credit card in your hand, have the name of an LLC that you like, 2 or 3 of them, and you're the officers, period. Make the call, tell them you want to form an LLC, give them the name, give them your credit card number, and within minutes, you have an LLC. What are you waiting on? Get an LLC. You know you're going to need one anyway. Once they say your name is approved, now you can start using that name on your documents. I do not want you to use your name on those documents. And by the way, your address is irrelevant. Just don't put an address on there. You're not required to put your address on a lease option agreement or a purchase and sale agreement, either one.
Okay, next up is Gene Smith from Texas, and she's got 2 questions. Or
Hey,
maybe
Gene.
he, I'm not sure.
Okay.
He says, I'm just getting started and have a question. When filling out the lead property information sheet, how do I know if a seller's monthly payment is reasonable or too high?
Uh-huh.
Is there a percentage rule of some sort?
Gene, there's a percentage rule, but you can't use it. It's the old 1% rule. House is worth $100,000, $1,000 a month rent, $200,000, $2,000. You can't use that. That's really not going to work. What you can do though is go to a website called rentometer.com, rentometer.com, and it'll tell you pretty much what the market rents are for that house in that area. Again, that's not ironclad now, but it's a good enough thumbnail sketch for you to use right now. Only the market will tell you what the rents are going to be. Put it on the market. Do not name the rent price. Ask them what the most they can pay per month when you're lease optioning these things out, and you'll pretty much know what the market will bring you. And just see how close it comes to rent-o-meter. By the way, it should not be below rent-o-meter, but quite often you can get considerably more per month than rent-o-meter or rentometer will tell you can get.
Gene's next question says, I was going over your Pretty Houses course, and I wanted to know what my choices are for exit strategies. It seems with Texas lease option laws and Dodd-Frank that my choices are very limited here in Texas.
Not true. Not true. Here's your exit strategies no matter where you live when you have a house. You can lease option it to a tenant buyer. You can sell it with owner financing. You can sell it for cash. You can straight rent it, or you can move into it. Those are your exit strategies. Most common, lease option it to a tenant buyer or sell it with owner financing. Well, I guess the most common is selling it for cash, but assuming you're not going to do either one of those. Texas, if you own the house, you can install a lease option tenant buyer and collect a non-refundable deposit. You need to use Texas documents to do that with, and then learn the other rules, because you have to give them a 3-day right of rescission and so forth. So get the documents, and then get an attorney to close it for you, and you can do either. And in fact, Texas is the best state to do owner financing in, because you can have the property back in 3 weeks after you file if they don't pay you. So your options are not limited. However, when it comes to lease options, you do need to learn the rules before you try to do one, and of course, get an attorney involved.
Next up this week is Matthew Michelson from California.
Matthew
asks, or says, I recently established an LLC with a few other business partners, with each partner owning a share of the LLC. The LLC owns one cash flow property, and we need to get a landlord policy on the property to protect our new asset.
Okay.
I have called several homeowners insurance companies to find one that will underwrite a policy for our property, but I keep getting turned down for various reasons.
It's your lucky day.
Can you recommend an insurance company?
I just happen to know an insurance feller who has a national company that doesn't insure anything except non-owner occupied properties, and they don't care how you own them, LLC, corporation, your name, or whatever. That number is 888-741-8454. That's 888-741-8454. His name is Chuck. Tell him I sent you, and he specializes in the kind of property you're talking about right now. Everybody else listening, you better write that number down, because insurance is a booger in some places, like Florida. You know, these things called hurricanes come and blow our houses away, and so it wreaks havoc on insurance down here. So fortunately we found Chuck, and more importantly, this guy saved me about 50% on my insurance costs. So if you want insurance on a non-owner occupied house, there really is only one choice.
Okay, next up this week is Cecilia Lance from California.
Hello, Cecilia.
She's got a follow-up to a question she asked you last week, Ron.
Okay.
Her one this week says, last week you said my tenant buyer can in fact lease option the property to someone else, but I have a few questions. First, who screens this new prospect?
Now hold on just a minute. I did not say any such thing. You're falsely accusing me. What I said was, if your tenant buyer has the option to buy the property, he can then resell the property. I said nothing about him having the right to put a tenant in the house. Your agreement, if you use mine, says he cannot assign his agreement, but that still doesn't stop him from selling the house to a cash buyer and paying off everybody in the process. So no tenant can go in without your permission, is the answer to that. So screening is a moot point.
Well, I think that answers your second question too.
Okay.
So, write us back next week, Cecilia, if you got another one.
All right.
Last up this week is Milton Wood in Texas.
Milton.
Milton says, lately I've been finding empty houses by calling the relatives of their owners.
Uh-huh.
These relatives get pretty mad on the phone and don't want to deal with me. Do you have any advice on what to say to keep them calm and get the information I need?
Well, gosh, Milton, I don't know. Maybe you should be friendlier on the phone. What do you think? I don't know what you're saying on the telephone to make you mad. But look, you can't get upset because other people get mad. You're trying to find the owner of the house to pay all cash for the house. There's certainly nothing wrong in doing that. Since you don't tell me what you're telling them on the phone, it's hard for me to answer your question. But I'd pick up the phone, I'd call him and say, I'm looking for Joe Blow, and I noticed that his house is sitting vacant and I'd like to buy it and pay cash for it. Could you help me find him? And anybody that gets mad about that's going to get mad no matter. They got mad because you called them. They get mad at they're walking around with a chip on their shoulder anyway. Of course, they're probably upset at their relative, but nothing you can do about that. Just be a really nice guy, act friendly, and do the best you can, and quit worrying about some moron getting mad because you called them on the telephone. Hey, it's life. Get over it and forget about it.
Well, Ron, that's all the questions we have for you this week.
Okay. All right. Now, you guys know what's coming next, right? You know, I'm going to tell you again, get registered for the convention. You know that thing's coming up. It's right around the corner. Go to RES 2014 and register right now before that discount expires in just a few days. The price is going to go up drastically. And get this, I am giving away my Big Money in Big Chunks course that we just taped to everybody who registers for the convention. For every principal, for every entity, we're going to deliver a hard copy of that course to the convention and give it to you as you check in. So hey, I'm only doing that till the end of this month. It's almost the end of this month. RES2014.com right now. See you next week.